believe that ZANU-PF as an institution is corrupt. And this day I still believe that that institution is not corrupt. But individuals within that party are very, very corrupt. But corruption is only restricted to ZANU-PF. Even to the opposition, ndakazopinda muopposition ndikaiona futi iri kunotoone mbavha dzinoshura mari anenge matwins naDevil futi kuopposition.
Handisisiko kupolitics ndakasiya dai handichiriko izvozvi dai ndaibata ye2030 ndafamba nayo chaizvo zvekuti vari kuita nezvayo vaizogutsikana, but ina handichaita izvozvo, tasiyira vamwe taakuitawo zvedu zvatakudini zvatakuita. Politics ndakadzitadza, ende vaya vanoseka vachiti wakakundika politics, sure I admit ndakadzitadza. Iyi type yepolitics idzi ndakadzitadza, dzebootlicking nedzekunyeperana idzi ndakadzitadza, handidzikwanise, sarai muite, isusu taakuita zvimwe.
Thank you for tuning into Zim News Beat TV.
Very good afternoon, my brothers and sisters, members of the media fraternity. Kazwai vana veZimbabwe vari kufollowa presa ino kumativi mana enyika yeZimbabwe nevari kunze kwenyika. Firstly, I would want to thank you members of the press for coming to cover this presser at a very short notice. I really appreciate your presence per press conference. So it's going to be a very brief presser where I'm going to touch on the key issues dzaita kuti ndidanire presser ino. Chekutanga is when one says Godfrey Tsenengamu, there were things that I was associated with in the past. Zvinotisiyane zvichibva nekuti wainditarisa from which angle. So I'm coming in today to say to Zimbabweans, I'm starting on a new journey. The old Tsenengamu arikusara from this minute, and the new Tsenengamu is taking over from this minute tichienda kumberi. Nditsenengamu upa aizikanwa nevanhu. Nditsenengamu aizikanwa nekudanira mapresa ema-factional fights within ZANU-PF, siding with one faction, or Tsenengamu aidanira mapresa on the political developments dzinenge dzichiitika munyika, or Tsenengamu aizikanwa being associated with certain individuals and certain causes. And that comes to an end today. There was a Tsenengamu who had fallen out of favor with a number of people because of his approach in politics. There was a Tsenengamu who just believed in saying things as they are. I would just say out my opinion and view. And you know, those were days of being youth, where you are being adventurous, where you try 1, 2, 3 things. I've been in politics for the past 20 years or so, basically being in ZANU-PF. I've been involved in a number of things, good and bad. I've said a lot of things, good and bad. I've championed causes, both good and bad. Some of the things that I'm proud of, then other things that I'm not proud of. But there comes a time when you then mature and say, I can't be seen all over doing everything being controversial all the time. I have to commit myself to a cause or two. I have to start building my legacy, other than being known for fighting wars on behalf of certain individuals or certain factions or a certain grouping of people. I'm a family man. I'm now 42. So it's high time I have to chart my own way and build my own legacy, be known for pushing positive things for the betterment of the society. So before I get into the details of the real reason for this presser, I would want to say a new Tsenengamu must then be different from the old Tsenengamu. I created a lot of enemies in the past. I said a lot of things, some of which were not maybe necessary at some point to certain individuals. So in what I'm going to say and embark on from today, it requires me to be working with everybody across the divide. So I cannot carry that old Tsenengamu into the new era. So I would want to take this opportunity to therefore apologize to individuals I have offended in one way or the other. I'm not shy to say sorry to anybody who feels that I've crossed their path or I have offended them. And I will not run away from the fact that there are certain individuals whom I know by name, against whom I might have said certain nasty things, which in my view, after taking time to introspect, you then say, this was not necessary. There were certain things that I might have said out of anger and bitterness. And I would want to use this opportunity to withdraw such nasty words or insults that I said at any individual. And these individuals include President Emerson Mnangagwa. I would like to say to him, I'm very sorry for sometimes being rude, saying things that were not called for. I agree, we might have had some fallouts in terms of how we saw things at some point, but I should have maintained my respect to him as a fatherly figure. Because I'm young, he's 82, I'm 42. I should have known that besides the differences, he's a father figure to me. So my disrespect to him or certain words that I uttered against him were not necessary at some point. And that is the basis of my apology to him as my father. I'm not asking for any favors from him, but as a young person, I think it's not necessary to have a reputation of crossing paths with almost everybody. It's not. I came to realize that we can differ, but differ with respect. We can disagree, but disagree with respect. I might not be in agreement with his way of doing things, and that's my right. But I don't think it's necessary to insult him. I have also said nasty things against my brother, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, when I was in politics. He's a brother to me. Was it necessary? No, it wasn't. I should have respected him as a brother and respected his position in society. So as a young brother to him, I'm here to say, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing to these individuals because they are leaders in their own ways, in the institutions that they lead. I may disagree with them in terms of their ideologies or their approach on a number of issues, but I want to say to my young brothers who are following in our footsteps in politics, that you must learn to differ with individuals and be respectful. Push your ideas, push your views, but restrain yourselves from uttering words which may cause unnecessary friction between you and those you disagree with. And I'm doing this also because I'm going to be working with certain individuals who were not part of what I did in the past. So I don't want them to inherit the grudges that I had in the past. I don't want them to be part of the things that I did in the past. We must be starting on a clean sheet. I must be free to go and see whoever I want to see, be it President Mnangagwa, be it Advocate Chamisa, be it Vamohadi, be it Vachiwenga, be it Chapangu or whoever. I must be free to interact with everybody. And no one must feel like the old Tsenengamu is not a good person to be associated with. So this is one matter that I wanted to address before I then get into the details of why I called for this presser. I think you all came across some utterances by Vice President Chiwenga regarding the levels of corruption in this country. He went further to say corruption has become a security threat. And this is what some of us saw 4 years ago when I was still the National Political Commissar of ZANU PF Youth League. When we came out to say, so and so are not doing things right. And what happened is all our leaders ganged up against us and chased us out of the party. But well, that is in the past. But all I'm trying to say now is, I'm happy that with a majority of people, now we are on the same page. That we agree that the levels of corruption in this country, some of us never anticipated that corruption will get to the levels that Trikuona. We also, my issues, the Costier server, which is alleged to have been bought on behalf of some institution. Look at the thousands, my percentages, akapetwa, pakuchargwa kwakaitwa that server. And that happened. You guys from the media brought it to the fore. You exposed it. But Zimbabweans continued like it's business as usual. There are a number of things that you have exposed in the media about corruption, about the looting that is going on, where people are looting like Nyika, Zimbabwe, iruda kuvarwa mangwana. Vanhu munotokwira ndege pa airport. Mototi ndege yakuda kusimuka ipinde murunway. Motozonzonzi dzikai. Kuti chii chaitika kunzi ngana adzura avhiri. Ndege haichagona kusimuka. Otoonekwa achitofamba achitoenda. And we have normalized that as Zimbabweans. Ukafirwa nhasi izvozvizvi kuti mapurisa auye nekukasira kunozotora bhodhi kumba kwenyu, unofanira kutobuditsa kamariso. Ukaenda kuchipatara kunorapwa, even mapirisa aripo, the hospital staff will tell you kuti hapana, but ndine munhu wandinoziva anokwanisa kukunzira ine cheaper price. You have to pay. Kuti ugoitirwa post-mortem on your dead relative, you have to pay. Or else in it 2 months or 3 months, isati yaitwa. Mazimbabweans are assassina shame. So we have seen corruption irikuitika in the public and the private sectors. We have seen corruption irikuitika across the political divide, in the ruling party, in the opposition party. We have seen public officials being corrupt and doing so with impunity. There is no transparency, there is no accountability. People who are rising to positions of leadership are doing so for purposes of wanting to get closer to national coffers so that they can steal. Because vazhinji vabatwa nepfungwa yekuti tiri pa last supper. I saw it even when we tried to come up with a political party, the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe. You start to see vanhu vanga vari close newe the moment yaunotanga kutaura language yekuti hatisi kuda vanhu vanoba panapa. You start becoming an enemy to your very own comrades, because people get involved in leadership, get involved in public service so that they have an opportunity to steal. And when you don't steal, unoita kunge wakapusa kunza unaona Tsenengamu panga uri central committee pa national political commissar, you wasted an opportunity. And look at how corruption has ravaged our societies. You cannot take a license without corruption. You can't get passport or even kudindisa passport yako pa Beit Bridge usina kumbobudisa something. Haugone kudarika pa road usina kutsvagirwa mhosva yaunonzi you must pay $30. But tinogona ngotaurirana ingosiya 10 mudhara drink. Those are small matters that tiri kusangana nadzo every day. But kune zhinji dziri kuitika on a daily basis in government, in the public sector, in the private sector. But issue yevanhu ndeyekuti vazhinji vanga vari ngoti even mamwe ma-institutions acho that have been mandated to deal with corruption naiwo wacho atowo corrupt futi, because vanouya kwauri vokuti uri kuona case yako ye corruption, but you know we can find a way of managing it. Then waakutofanirwa kuchibuditsa. So the question yataanayo ndeyekuti who is going to guard the guard? So tiri kuuya kunotaurira maZimbabweans kuti I'm happy that the political leadership is now coming on board. We hope they are sincere and mean what they say, because the problem with politicians ndeyekuindicate left vachitena right. That's the problem. Zvaanotaura kuti ari kuda anogona kunge asingatodi, zvaari kuti haasi kuda anogona kunge achitoda. So Zimbabweans must, I'm here to tell Zimbabweans kuti it's high time we must work together to fight this menace of corruption. We tried it when we formed the Front for Economic Emancipation in Zimbabwe, but we realized that you cannot fight corruption effectively under the banner of a political party. Because as much as your effort is noble, it will be taken like you are doing it for political expediency, for political opportunism. You are doing it because you want to score certain political goals against certain individuals or certain political institutions. So this is the reason why I decided to inini Zvepolitics hama dzangu ndakadziitawo for the 20 years I was in ZANU PF, ndatry opposition politics, ndokubva ndaona type of politics dziri muno, to be honest, and dzikwanisa and dzikoni. Because adzidi vanhu vari honest, adzidi vanhu vari sincere, adzidi vanhu vari principled, adzina ma-ideas, ndedze kufollowa a favorite political party or a favorite individual, whether vane ma-ideas or a cause that they pursue. So ini ndakaona kuti nema-principles angu, nema-values angu, and what I believe in, politics, that's not my field. I might be there kungopusha agenda dzevamwe nekudi, but hakuna chinobatika chekuti after years unozoti panguva yandakanga ndiri active on these things, this is what I managed to achieve. So we have activated, fully activated, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, which we registered some 4 years ago, but which we had not activated and operationalized. It is a legally registered institution which can report any individual to the rightful authorities. Remember, we have the police. Kuna police anti-corruption unity. There is the special anti-corruption unity. There is the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. So we are coming in, mobilizing, organizing, and uniting citizens. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force being the mouthpiece, Yevan, where we are going to be exposing corruption like no one's business. We are going to be whistleblowing big time. No sacred cows. We don't care whether you are from this party or that political party. We don't care whether you have the support of that powerful individual or this powerful individual. We are not going to be fighting against institutions. We are going to be fighting against corrupt individuals. So, Jokuti, you belong to a political party, unless political party actually iriyo ya kutuma kutube, then it norora surone gwenzirayo. But for as long as tine affects ne umpo wekuti wapara mosha se individual, we are going to take you to the cleaners. We will report you to the police and make a follow-up with the police. Vachitama investigations avo isusu tine edu information yatakabata. Atisiku zongoita zvinhu zvenjake. We have assembled a good team yevanhu vakanga vari musecurity who have retired, who have experience in terms of working in the law enforcement agencies. Vamwe vakanga vari ku CID nevamwe vakanga vari kune mamwe departments. We have assembled that team. But for their security and safety, we are not going to be saying out their names because we want them to be able to operate without being victimized. Isusu vamwe tisina chokuzenza. But ava vachine ganda dete tinovasiya vari kumashure ikoko vachioperata zvakanaka. We have assembled a team of lawyers because when we sat down, we agreed kuti at one point we might need to pursue avenues of private prosecution. If those mandated with the duty to prosecute show their unwillingness to prosecute, as the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, we are going to seek a certificate in private prosecution and provide the basis and justification why we want to move in that direction. So we are going to be whistleblowing, like I said. From tomorrow, we are going to open up 2 lines, Dzema hotlines, a Net 1 line and an Econet line, where we want citizens to tell us what's happening wherever they are. Toendesa kumapurisa, toendesa kuzaki, toendesa kusaku. Then we start making my follow-ups. Kana vatinenge tapa nyaya dzeumbavha nehori huri kuitika, vakange vasina kudzisimudza, then we take it up. We are also going to be making my tip-offs. Information yatabata kana uri kutya kuti pabasa pedu oro company yakati oro panext pedu oro hama yangu iri involved in corruption, we will protect your identity. You just give us the information. But tiri kuzoita pursue cases atinenge tine umboyo nawo nechokwadi nawo ekuti zvichokwadi apa pane zvakashata zviri kuitika. So when we give cases to ZAC, we will record down. Tovapa reference number, totora reference number yavo yekuti varecorda case. We make a follow up with them every time. Tichida kunzwa kuti nyaya yapapi, nyaya yapapi. Kana nyaya yakuma courts, tonoifollowa. Tikangoona kuti there is something amiss in the way this corruption case is being handled before the courts, we will also raise an alarm and say tine uchapupu wekuti nyaya yakati iri kuitwa zvakati ichisanganisira muchuchisi nengi na magistrate nengi oro na judge nengi oro nemupurisa ngana. Tobva tabudisa V11. We know kuti mubasa ratiri kuzoita starting today malawsuits achawanda evanhu vachenga vachiti matisvibisa mazodini maita zvakati. So we have set up a competent team yevanhu legal experts vari kumashure vanenge vachi, before we attack an issue, they will give us legal advice on the best way to handle those issues. But kana zvazo ipisisa taendesa kumataredzi mosa, they will stand in to defend our just fight against corruption. So kana uri kutya kuzikanwa, tauya as the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force, legally registered, now fully operational with competent teams behind the scenes. Just give us that information. We are going to be giving out the hotline numbers, our email addresses, our WhatsApp numbers, our Facebook pages, every platform of communication we are going to open up so that we feed Zimbabweans every time as it happens. Pane case yakati yatinogona kupa detail rese topa detail rese, imwe yatisingagona kupa detail so that we don't jeopardize my investigations, tinongotaura zvakakodzera so that Zimbabweans know. So we are not going to be working against the government. We are not anti-government, no. We are anti-corruption. We are not anti any political party. We are anti-corruption. We are not pro or anti any political or party faction. We are Zimbabweans from diverse backgrounds who want to rid Zimbabwe of corruption and looting and make sure that we create a corruption-free society in our lifetime. So, those vanga vachindizira nekuita zvimwe, I'm a changed person. If you are to engage with me on three things: anti-corruption activism, economic empowerment activism, which we are going to be pushing through another legally registered entity, the National Affirmative Action Assembly of Zimbabwe. And the last one, the third area where you find me is philanthropy. Izvi zvepolitics zvokuti ndikuda kuita kansela, ndoda kuita MP, burugwera uyu rine chigamba, uyu ane mahobi, ikoko tasira uvariko. Sarai muchirwisana, muchidini, muchita sei. But kana muri kutora mapositions muchifunga kuti you are going to get mukana wekuzoba, tiri kuzonofumirana nemi zviri serious. So I've talked about whistleblowing, hotlines, tip-offs, case reporting and referrals to relevant authorities, facilitation of private prosecution. We are going to be red flagging. We are going to name and shame. Tikaona kuti taendesa to the rightful authorities, vari kuvhikira mbavha, oro vari kunzi iyi haibatwe iyi, munongonzwa takudanirai kuti uyai tine nhapitapi yemashoko tokuturirai kuti mukurungana ndiye ari kufacilitata chimbavha pakati umbowo ndeuhu musapublishe musina umbowo ngana ndiye ari kuita zvakati ngana ndiye ari kuita zvakati kana aine nharo ngatisangane nezact kumatare edzimhosva. We are ready for that. Then like I said, you are also going to be doing case follow-ups. Kana uine nyaya yawakaendesa kungave kuzaki kumaprisa or kupi, give it to us. We are going to make follow-ups on your behalf and chase it up kusvika taona kuti vanhu vaendeswa kumatare. We are also going to be lobbying the authorities to come up with mitemo isiri porous. Why? Because mitemo iri kuiswa iri kupa vanhu mukana wekuba vobva vaenda scot free, because the laws are vague and porous. But dzinobata mavhenda mutauni umu hadzisi porous, dzinobata mapickpockets hadzisi porous, dzinobata matouts hadzisi porous, but dzinobata mbavha dziri kuvhura dziri kudzura vhiri rendege dziri porous. So we are going to be engaging the authorities, reviewing the available pieces of legislation. This is one of our mandates as a registered institution here, the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force. But pakazenge paita panetsa, tichazenge tokumbirawo veruzhinji kuti muye kunotibatsirawo kuma peaceful protests. Kuti huyai ti protest against ngana ari pakati ari kuvhikira chimbavha, huyai pakati tidai. Those won't be anti-government protests, they will be anti-corruption protests, very peaceful. And I will be organizing that on behalf of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force. I'm saying this knowing very well that it's not going to be a stroll in the park. It's going to be really difficult because takunobvuta chingwa pamiromo yevanhu. People who were used to getting rich through deceit, through corrupt ways, through looting, and kuginya bvurira vanhu. We are going to be exposing all that. Anenge aine nyaya nesu tonosangana kumatare edzimhosva. Something that we are also going to be doing as an institution is to provide relevant mass education to the people, to conscientize that. Lastly, we will be asking for maximum support from Zimbabweans. Kuti, we are your task force. We need your support by all means necessary. In any way that you can think you can support our work morally or otherwise, so that we are able to rid Zimbabwe of this menace and monster called corruption. Nasi ndaona kuti hatingatange nekudoma nyaya dzatinadzo dzanga dziri kushandwa nevakomana for the past 9 days or so. We are going to refer those cases to the relevant authorities tovapa nguva tichita follow up. But when it becomes necessary, we are going to be naming and shaming if it becomes necessary, after exhausting all other means and ways. But like I said when I started addressing, I'm not shying away from apologizing to anybody and everybody. Wandakataurira mashoka asina kunaka, wandakaita disrespect, wandaka offender. I apologize sincerely. Please find it in your hearts to forgive me. I've mentioned 2 individuals in public. Pamwe pacho, you see, being out of malice, sometimes it's really necessary. I've mentioned Comrade Mnangagwa, President. I've mentioned Vachamisa, and I can't bring that taking our pangopacho, it was not necessary. Izundasira ma politicians. Sarai muchidilana kupi. Ikoko, I in politics and sisiko. I will engage with these, my leaders and any other leader with respect. And Tsenengamu kudara wewe asisipo madarangu kwa ana Tsenengamu munyowani. Akudila ne 3 issues: anti-corruption, empowerment, activism, ne philanthropy. So this is basically the reason we called for this presser, to let Zimbabweans know that we have started an anti-corruption revolution. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a stroll in the park. Those we are going to drag are also going to throw back Matombos is serious. But we must be ready. If you think you want to be part of this initiative, please get in touch with me. We are open and ready to work with everybody. And to those who have been benefiting out of corruption, we are rough riders. Pamwe pacho kana tikaona kuti hapashande professionalism, tinodhonzana nemi kusvika right, kunyara kuba nekubira veruzhinji rwevanhu. Because what you have been doing zvakosta upenyu hwevanhu. And we are ready for you. So you must know kuti it's not gonna be business as usual. And munofana kuziva kuti kana mukaataka Tsenengamu, timu rasara kumashure uku revaferefeti nemagweta, munongoona basa richingoenda mberi, macases achingorohwa, ende pamaplatforms edu, pawebsite, pa Twitter, pa Facebook and everywhere, nepamachannels edu pawhatsapp, muchingorikitwa left, right, center, because kamba haisi kuzovharwa nekufa kwemujoni. So ndoda kuti ndikutendei maZimbabweans, unless paine vane mubvunzo. I know kuti vazhinji venyu, you had anticipated that I'm going to delve into my issues at 2013 nechi. Handisisiko ku politics, ndakasiya. Dai handichiriko izvozvi, dai ndaibata ye 2030 ndafamba nayo chaizvo kuti vari kuita nezvayo vaizogutsikana. But ina handichaita izvozvi, tasiyira vamwe taakuitawo zvedu zvatakudini, zvatakuita. Politics ndakadzitadza, and vaya vanoseka vachiti wakakundika politics, sure I admit ndakadzitadza. Iyi type yo politics idzi ndakadzitadza, dzebootlicking nedzekunyeperana idzi ndakadzitadza, handidzikwanise. Sarai muite, isusu taakuita zvimwe. Thank you my brother. You are right. Chekutanga ndisati ndataura zvecorruption yemapurisa ane zvingakubatai paroadblock, imimi vacho ingaiwo makachena, svikai pamaroadblock musina dzimhosva. Ingosvikawo uri usina kupara mhosva, zvinhu zvako zvakadini zvakakwana, because it's possible kusvika paroadblock usina mhosva. Votarisa zvavanotarisa votongoti dini pinda, but because iwewe une zvauri kushota vanobva vakubata, vobva vakuti chidini chitipa. So the first thing is to prevent kutoti tivasave corrupt, iwewe wacho inge wakakwanira kubva kwauri iwewe semutyairi kusvika kumotikari yako, then vanenge vasina basis yekuva corrupt. But if you think then you are being victimized and that you are not being treated fairly, pama numbers atiri kuzopa mangwana achacirculate on all social media platforms, you are free to get in touch with us, because you are also engaging with the police authorities from the top and get the conduct of all the police stations across Zimbabwe. Wherever you will be able to get in touch with the officer in charge, with the officer commanding, or with the officer commanding district or officer commanding province. If it is necessary, get to the Commissioner General of Police and say, this is what is happening, and here's the evidence of your corrupt officers. But kuti nhunzi dzisatevere ngapasavewo neronda. So kana waona kuti watorerwa mari, zviri nani kutorerwa mari and raise an alarm with us, then we'll quickly attend to you and say munhu ari kuvictimizwa because aramba kudini kucooperate. So there is always going to be a way on how we are going to be dealing with people. Ndokusaka tati there will be no sacred cows. But tisati taona mhosva yemapurisa, isusu wacho ngatisaiwewo vanhu vanofamba vaine dzimhosva, so that ivo havawanewo pekukumbirira napo mari through war. Thank you. Mukoma.
When President Itai took power, he set up the Anti-Corruption Commission and also went further to set up a special anti-corruption unit in his office. So the first question is, are you not duplicating things that already exist, number one? Number two, how effective are you going to be given the fact that you do not carry any mandate, from the government? And why should people trust you with information to do with corrupt people?
Okay, thank you. You have talked about the establishment of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. It is a constitutional commission established through the provisions of the Constitution. But like you said, the president went to establish the special anti-corruption unity in his office. Was it an issue ekuti vari kuti Zaki is not doing enough, so ndakugadzira imwe? Can we say the president was duplicating? Definitely not. There is the police anti-corruption unity, PACU. Can we say mapurisa vakagadzira PACU because vakaona kuti Zaki neSaku zviri kukundika here? Definitely not. But there was no initiative yema citizens. Izvi ndezvemaofisi yapresident. This is a constitutional commission. We are coming in to complement my efforts ema institutions agara aripo. We are not saying they have not been doing enough. But maoko maviri haachi nenyemba. There is a way yatiri kufunga kuti iri kushota in dealing ne corruption. Remember, these are very, very professional entities. Tine zvimwe zvatichaita zvavasingagone kuita. Tichivabatsira. Isusu when we get those cases dzevanhu vari kutya kuexposwa kana kuzovictimizwa, tinodziendesa uko. Because we are legally registered nehurumende yeZimbabwe through the registrar wema organizations, wema trust organization, the registrar of deeds. The government knows that the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force exists with its aims and objectives. Very clear. And this is what we are going to do on behalf of the citizens. Mobilizing citizens, organizing citizens, uniting citizens against corruption, exposing corruption, reporting corruption, making a follow-up on corruption, and making sure kuti vacho vakaestablishwa nemtemo vana Zaki, president wo vakazogadzirawo Saku, mapurisa vakagadzira PACU, isusu as ma-citizens, ma-millions yedu are now coming in to complement their efforts. In terms of effectiveness, aiwa munozotaura mega kuti yanga ingori imbwa iri papepa yaihukura here, uro imbwa chaiyo ine mazino. Handidi kutaura zvizhinji kuti no, we are going to be effective nekudai. But we will leave it to Zimbabweans to then judge us and say, have these guys made any difference in terms of tackling corruption, or vakangouyawo to make up my numbers and kungowanawo kwekutandarira. But I can tell Zimbabweans that we really mean business. And vamwe takazama kutozviita when we were still in a political party zvikazotidzingisisa. Dai mazuva atakagona kunyarara, vamwe vese vakanyarara kako. Vari kutongodya izvozvi izvi. Paipai takarasa matable manners hazvitenderwe kutaura uri patable. Isusu taitodya paipai zvinhu zviri mushemushe ndokubva tataura kuti no zvimwe zvatiinazvo pano pane vauya nazvo but ndezvekuba ndobva tarohwa bhutsu. Saka it shows also seriousness yedu vamwe yekuti no corruption must be dealt with. Inini shungu dzangu I had wanted to fight corruption ndiri muzanu PF but ndakazoona hangu kuti approach yangu haienderane nevadhara havaide. Vane nzira dzavanoda kuti zvinhu zviitwe nayo. Ndokusaka takazogadzira yedu platform yekuti hapana anondiexpela uko handiexpeliwo. Kana ndatozoneta ndega ndopatirosiyawo vamwe vachipfuurira mberi. Inenge ine vamwe vanoitungamirawo even in my absence. Saka we are really serious on dealing with this matter. And nyaya mukoma yakandidzingisa patafura. So I'm very serious about it. I want to make sure kuti ndinodila nayo nyaya corruption ne looting. Thank you. Any other question? Mukoma.
I said, why should people trust you with corruption information in your inbox?
Oh, in the same way that they trust any other person. People report to police. Police are individuals within an institution. So they are not giving that information to Tsenengamu as an individual. They are giving that information to the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force, which is legally registered and existing. You can report it to the police, you can report it to ZAC, you can report it to SACU. But if you want us to make a follow-up on those cases, you can also give it to us. Give us that copy and say, I've reported this matter, please make it a follow-up on your behalf. And we become interested in that matter. But if you think that we cannot be trusted with that information, fair and fine. You can go to the police, you can go to ZAC, you can go to SACU. But for those who feel comfortable working with us, bring it to us, we'll do our best, but there is no harm in taking it anywhere you want, where you feel you are comfortable and where you have trust. If you have trust issues with the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizen Task Force, fair and fine. Go to SACU, go to PACU, go to ZAC, go to any police station. Fair and fine. But we are here to serve, my brother.
Right. A couple of weeks ago, there was speculation that you had rejoined ZANU PF or you had applied to rejoin ZANU PF. Can you please comment on that?
Oh, okay. It's true. That information made rounds. You know, to be honest, I want to be honest with the Zimbabweans. Ndisaka ndakati politics ndakudzisiya because politics akudiwe honesty. Inini muzanu PF ndakaita zvokudzingwa mko. Anditi munonzwa. Kureva kuti dai ndisina kudzingwa, dai ndiriko. I wanted to be doing what I had started doing ndirimo muzanu PF. Because I believe that ZANU PF as an institution is corrupt. And to this day, I still believe that that institution is not corrupt. But individuals within that party are very, very corrupt. Kudarika devil jai, varimo. But corruption is only restricted to ZANU PF. Even to the opposition, ndakazopinda mu opposition, ndikaiona ofuti irimo. Kunotoone mbavha dzinoshura mare anenge ma twins na devil futi ku opposition. So andikunyeperei kuti ideologically I believed in ZANU PF politically.
So andikunyeperei kuti ideologically I believed in ZANU PF politically. But ndakazogara pasi after ndameka indication yekuti ndikuda kunojoina ZANU PF. Ndokuona kuti ndinogona kujoina kuseni. Adhara vairogara pasi political yavo yekuseni. Vanogara futi imwe yekumanheru nditsika futi. Ndatanga futi kutaura zvavasingade. Zvinosanganisira zvatiri kutanga kutaura mangwana tichienda kumberi zvecorruption. Because kune vamwe vakatopindiramo kuti vawane power neinfluence dzekuba, so they don't want to be disturbed. So they would use their positions of influence kundidzinga. So ndakati inini well, ndinogumisira ndakutumidzwa zita rekunzi mudzingwa uri mutano, kuti ndakambodzingwa naMamduru, ndikadzingwa naAmugabe, Amunangagwa wandidzinga, ndodzoka futi ndinodzingwa, because ndinotanga kumbotaura zvisingadiwe futi. And ndinoziva kuti problem yangu ndeyekusagona kusefa zvokutaura nezvekusataura, especially kana ndabata chokwadi, ndoda kuti tichidini chitaura. Saka ndakazoona kuti no, handina reason yekuti ndidzokeko, because I will not last a day. And pari zvino mukoma, even dai kuri kunzi kuti ndakuzvikomita to the anti-corruption activism, to empowerment activism nephilanthropy. Izvozvi mudhara kuZANU-PF variko zvavo, but kuri kupisa zvokuti vanhu vanenge isusu kwekwe tikaenda tinosvika totora side, unoswera uchimhanya futi. Saka ndakaona kuti ndakamhanyawo pakakwana ino, handichadi, zviri nani ndifocuse on empowerment activism, anti-corruption activism nephilanthropy. Saka handina kumbobvira ndaapplyira. I had indicated my intention to want to rejoin. And ndakaona kuti there are things that I can also do quite well, even in this city within ZANU-PF. So this initiative is not anti-ZANU-PF, it's anti-corruption. There are nice people within ZANU-PF, there are bad people within ZANU-PF. There are nice people within the opposition, there are bad people within the opposition. So ndokusaka tati isusu taakuchenga ose, taakushanda nemunhu wese. Saka yekudzokera kumusangano, inini so far mabhutsu ndatohenga mudhara, not just kuhenga, ndatobvarura zvekupolitics ndakazviona handisurvive, ndinogara ndichingodzingwa. Saka unozoita mbiri yakaipa kungoramba uri munhu wekudzingwa ndi mukoma.
Tinoziva kuti munhu aite basa iri anotoda zvikwanisiro. Mukufanira nani kuti mukwanise kuita basa iri? Tinotoziva kuti pane pachida kutobharwa vanhu, Itai anenge achida kubhara. Ndiani ari kubekai?
Yeah, for now, hatisati tasecure funding, but we are going to be looking for funding. Hatinzvengezve. We are going to be looking for funding because ibasa rinoda kutoitwa ende pachidiwa zvishandisiro. Ava vatiri kutaura nezvavo, for now, they have volunteered their services because they have become part of the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Citizens Task Force. But when we get the resources, then we will start to appreciate them, to appreciate their services. Saka, we are going to be mobilizing resources. Hatitonzvengi kuti we will mobilize the resources. Definitely, we are going to mobilize our resources, and we will be open to clean money and clean resources. Co-organization that tinokwanisa kuita account for, so that we can run effectively. But because Paris, basa racho harisati rakura sevanhu vachiri kutanga. For now, we are self-funding. The few of us who have volunteered to work on this initiative for the love of our country and the cause to get rid of corruption. There are nice people out there. Vamwe vasingatodi kuzikamwa vanongoti I hate corruption. Ndakupa yo laptop. Uyo tino ndiri kukupa data. Uyo ndiri kukupa yo zvakati. That's how we have been operating for now, but we won't shy from appealing to the public, to any progressive institutions or sister organizations that may want to help us with the resources. We are very much open. But hatidi vanhu vanouya nemari dzavo oti inini musanditaure panyaya yangu. Tinotora mari yako tobva takutaura futi kuti atipa, but ada isu. And kana uchiya nerubatsiro rwako, tisapote because uri kusapota the cause, not kuti you want to silence us, or even kufunga kuti unogona kutishandisa in your agenda. No, we are not going to be doing that. We want to make sure that we work for, as citizens, and for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Zim News Beat TV.